Hi guys, welcome back to AHGP. This video is a clip from my recent feature show with George Howson, where we discuss which of Alonso, Gasly and Hülkenberg will be most successful with their new team. Before we got into that though, I asked George his thoughts on the Andretti-Cadillac bid to get into F1 and the opposition from F1 itself and the teams within the sport. Here's what he had to say.
Before we dive into the trio of driver moves that we're going to be discussing today, I just want to get your thoughts on the Cadillac and FIA versus FOM thing that's kind of causing a bit of a storm in the Formula One world at the moment. What do you think of the Andretti-Cadillac bid, and do you think they should be making it easier for them to get onto the grid, or are they right to be making it as tough as they are?
I mean, obviously, Formula One has its own rules. They play by their own rules at the end of the day. I don't think it should be as difficult as it is, to be honest. I think a new team that has got the prowess of them. Obviously, Cadillac have never been in Formula One before, but Andretti is such a famous name in motorsport. Obviously, Mario Andretti, the Formula One world champion and IndyCar champion, and everything in between. So I would love to see them on the grid, absolutely. And having a backer like Cadillac, I think, is great as well. I think that I really Chris Medland said on Grid Talk when he was interviewed by Tom. It can really change the image of the brand, and I think it could do if they do well. I mean, look at Mercedes. Before they've always been involved with motorsport. Obviously, they've always had very fast cars, but when I used to think of Mercedes, to think of luxury cars like Cadillac are as well. So if they have success in this sport, then they could change that image at the end of the day. But I don't like the whole system. I don't know what it was like before, but the fact that all teams have to vote on whether Andretti Cadillac should be allowed into the sport, I don't like that. It seems like in theory they can just veto it, and I don't think it's right at the end of the day, because taking it as a negative viewpoint, the teams could genuinely think, well, another team, that means we've got to share the prize out, we've got to share the TV money out, it's another competitor. I like things how it is now, which does 10, don't you, lads? In theory they could do that. I don't think they will, but they would, and I don't think it should be as difficult as it is. I mean, this bid's been in the making for such a long time, and now it seems to be happening. But this seems like they've had to jump through several hoops on fire backwards while wearing blindfolds to do it, and it's still going on. We don't know. It is if they can manage it, and it shouldn't have to be like that. It should be right. You've got history, you've got backing, you've got finances, you've got drivers. Welcome. I mean, maybe not quite that easy, but Formula One has had 10 teams for a long time now, and I like yourselves, can remember when there were 24 cars on the grid, and going further back, there were 26. And you go further back than that, they had pre-qualifying just to get to qualifying. And F1 should have more teams than it does. There's always going to be competition for grid spaces, but it feels like another 4 spots for drivers would be very helpful.
Yeah, there's not like a proper entry process that's sort of set in stone at the moment, which I think is making it all very in flux, because no one is really quite sure what any new team has to do. And like you say, it could become, I think Scott Mitchell-Mound described it as a cartel. Basically, the teams will just all rally together and be like, no, we're happy with our lot, and nobody else is allowed in. But that's the danger with like a franchise system. But then without this system, the teams wouldn't be able to run profitably. It's kind of just, I think it's bad timing at the moment that these teams are just sort of getting themselves on an even keel. And once they start becoming profitable, they might go, actually, we've got enough in reserve and we can let another team in if this was, say, like 4 or 5 years down the line. But I'm all for more competition. I think Andretti coming in would be great, because I think they could bring over like a company called like Penske from the States, or maybe Chip Ganassi might take a fancy to it. So you really tap into the American market. And that is what Liberty Media have come in to do, crack America for F1 and then move on and conquer the rest of the world.
You can watch the rest of the conversation on the channel by clicking the card just over here somewhere on the screen, or you can download it on all good podcasting platforms. Let me know if you think the teams are right to be setting a high entry bar for new teams. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more Grand Prix content, and thank you very much for watching.